Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Donovan. I am a photographer and retoucher, and today's video is pretty much going to be like an updated version of my previous dodge and burn tutorial. So I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how I set up my curve layers to dodge and burn. I'll show you the brush settings that I use, and I'm even going to show you how to create help layers so that you all can see exactly what you're doing a little bit better. And I'll even show you where to dodge and where to burn. I'll do my best to go into like as much detail as I possibly can, because dodging and burning can be like a really tricky technique. So I'll do the best I can to pretty much like help anybody who's really trying to learn this technique. Okay, so this is the picture that we are going to be working on today, and I actually shot this beauty portrait probably almost a year ago, I want to say, and it's probably one of the most complex beauty images that I've shot and even retouched, actually, like to this day. But I did work with a really amazing makeup artist from my hometown. His name is Matt Goodlet, and I'm going to link his portfolio in the description below so you all can go and check out some of his work too. I've actually already retouched this entire picture, and I've just pulled out my cleaning group from my entire retouching folder. And so dodging and burning would be my next step after cleaning up the image with the healing brush and the clone stamp tool. So I'm going to be turning off this retouching group, and this is pretty much the before image. I've just cleaned it up some with the healing brush and the clone stamp tool. I'll do a quick before and after for you all. I don't know if you can see that, but oops. So this is before and that is after. So a lot of really small brushwork, and I am actually ready to dodge and burn, and I use curve adjustment layers to do my dodging and burning. So I'm going to start by creating one curve adjustment layer, and this is going to be for my dodge. Dodging is brightening and burning is darkening. So we're going to start by going up on this curve adjustment layer, and this I want to explain something really quick, because I really wish that I knew this when I was learning this technique, because I see a lot of people who kind of just, make a point and then drag up and then kind of just, like leave it, and they'll go and make their burn layer and they'll kind of just pull down and just leave it and, do whatever. So, but if you look down here where your, where it says input and output, I actually have these set to very specific numbers, and it really helps with the way that your brush works on the image. And I'm probably confusing you, but hopefully you'll see it whenever we're actually dodging and burning. So I'm going to make a point here in the middle, and I'm going to set this input to, I believe for dodge it's 110, and my output is 142. And I'll just hit enter. I'm going to close this out. And I'll do a quick before and after. See, it didn't really change, it's not super drastic, and I know exactly where my point is on the curve. Okay, so we have that done, and make sure that you are actually clicked on your layer mask. A layer mask is pretty much like an invisible piece of paper over top of your image that you can work on. And white means it's visible, black means it's invisible. So we're going to invert this and turn it black by hitting Command or Control I if you are on a PC, and this turns it black. So our dodge layer is still there, but you just can't see it because we inverted the mask. So when we paint over this with a brush, we're going to use the color white, and it's going to reveal what is underneath of the mask. So I hope that makes sense. And we're going to name this layer dodge, and we're going to create a burn layer. So we're going to create another curve adjustment layer, but this time we're going to go down on our curve adjustment layer to darken our image. And these input and output values are going to be the exact same, except we're just going to switch them. So input is going to be 142 and output is going to be 110. So my dodge layer and my burn layer are the exact same distance away from the middle of this curve. So I hope that makes more sense than what I explained earlier. So we're going to hit enter, close this out, and Command or Control I to invert this mask. And we'll just name this burn so we know what layer we're working on. I'm going to capitalize that because I'm OCD. I don't know if you all can really tell, but anyway, we're going to create a group. So either one can be highlighted, doesn't matter. Hold down Shift and highlight the other layer that you want to put into a group, and then Command or Control G to make them to make them into a group. And we're just going to name this group Dodge and Burn. All right. I can open this up. Before we start, we're going to make a group of help layers. So we're going to make this image black and white. And the reason why it's better to dodge and burn in black and white is because black and white, there's no color in the image. It's black and white. So you're only looking at the values of luminosity, which your values of brightness, how bright or how dark certain areas of your image is. So there's a couple of different ways that people do it. I like to do it by creating a solid color adjustment layer, and we're just going to drag this all the way so it's totally black. And then if you change the blend mode of this to color, you get true black and white. And this is in my group, so I'm going to drag this out really quick. And also to help us see a little bit better, we're going to create a another curve layer, but I'm not going to touch this curve just yet. But this will be for creating contrast in the image so we can see the darker and lighter areas that we need to work on a lot better. And we're going to make this into a group as well. Hold down Shift, select this one, Command or Control G to create a group. And we can just name this Help. You can name it Visual Aid or name it whatever you want. You know, just you do you. All right, so I usually start by dodging. And but first things first, we need to select our brush. You can hit B on your keyboard to go to your brush tool, or I have it over here somewhere. Yeah, it's in my toolbar over here. I do start with a flow of 2%, so it's going to be a really, really slow buildup. Like if I do this at 100% and just start, see that? Just start drawing on my image, it's going to completely reveal the entire dodge mask. So I'm going to undo this. Let me make sure I deleted all of that actually. Oops. I don't know what I'm doing. I promise I'm professional. Okay, if you hold down Option and click on your mask, you can see if you've done anything. You'll see like brush strokes and stuff. So this is 100% flow. I start at 2. So I'll show you what that looks like. Very, very subtle. Very subtle buildup. But you can keep going over top of it for you know, to get the look that you're trying to get. So Command Z to undo everything. Oops. I keep my opacity at 100%. My mode is normal, and my smoothing is set to 0. And I do have my airbrush style turned on. So that way, if I'm working on an area, I can constantly keep my pen against my tablet, and it will just build up the effect until I can, you know, see if anything's kind of going on and I'm getting somewhere. And I usually start with a pretty small brush. Right now I'm at 300 brush size, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go way, way smaller. So I'm going to start by dodging. And before I do, I'm going to create contrast in this image. And now I'm going to show you exactly the areas that I'm looking for, that I want to dodge, that should be dodged and that really should be burned, and areas that kind of should be, you know, left alone. So I like to do it this way. This point up here in very top right is your white point, so it's the brightest areas of your image. I'll just drag this a tiny bit to the left, and I'll probably make a point somewhere here, and I'll pull it down. So it's going to make my darks really dark. And now you can probably see areas that I'm talking about if you've looked into this technique of dodging and burning before. So I'm going to create a blank layer really quick. Shift Command N. Let's go 100%, and I'm going to choose, I don't know what color I want to do. We'll just go with a blue color. I like blue today. Okay. So, people who get confused, I don't know where to dodge, I don't know where to burn, I don't know what to do, I'm going to help you, okay? So, right off the bat, I can already see right here, I'm going to need to dodge this area, okay? But if I zoom in, I'm going to undo this, dodge this area, but this dark part directly under her eye, we can minimize that, but we don't want to totally remove that because this is what is shaping her face. This is the shape of her face. There's an eyeball right here, okay? There's supposed to be a shadow directly under her eye. This here is everybody has that. Like, it's totally okay, but you can, minimize this to where it's pretty much like not visible at all. The idea of dodging and burning is really to minimize and not really completely remove. And by doing this technique, you retain all of the skin's texture. That's why I absolutely love this technique. So this area here can be dodged. If you see this, this is a highlight. A highlight is supposed to be here because there's a cheekbone there. But the areas within this highlight, there are some darker spots. So like these can be dodged also. So we're going to lighten those up. That'll really bring out that highlight. It's really going to look nice on her face. I'll come up to her forehead. Like this line here can be dodged. This dark spot here can be dodged. And the little area like there, it's kind of, a little bit brighter. We can actually like probably, burn that to kind of like, even out that shadow highlight transition. So we'll do a dodge there. We'll definitely do some dodging here on her forehead and even like these tiny little spots. And there's even one here also. And so if we keep moving across our image, spots like this, that's a dark spot. It's a dark spot. We'll dodge that. That'll even that out. This entire shadow here, this is also something that is shaping her face. So we do not want to remove that shadow. We want to even out this shadow. So in certain parts like here, I'll probably dodge, and that will make a very smooth transition from this lighter area that you see into this shadow that is supposed to be there that's shaping her face. And another example, this entire shadow is supposed to be there. It's necessary. That's also shaping her face. But if you see these darker spots within that shadow, we'll dodge those and it's going to even it out and everything's going to look really smooth. And we'll do some dodging down here. And also there's some here. And I even saw something earlier. This is actually some makeup. Just excess makeup, that just so happened to be on her neck. We can actually remove this by dodging that area. So we're going to do that over there. And also, dodging is very helpful for reducing any necklines you see. Like here and there. We're also going to even out this highlight here on her collarbone. So we want to keep this highlight because this is a collarbone. If skin is stretched out over a bone, it's going to cause a highlight when light hits that part of your body. And where there's not a bone, you're going to have a shadow. So we're going to keep this shadow here. Otherwise, the image is going to look flat. She's not going to look real. We're pretty much going to get rid of her collarbone if we do that. So we're going to keep that shadow, and we're kind of going to pretty much, just do a little bit of dodging and burning around, this shadow highlight transition. And that's going to, even that stuff out. The whole, the makeup lines and everything I want to leave because they're supposed to be there. And we can even do a little bit of dodging, in here and kind of, give that a little bit of smoothness. It's going to look pretty nice whenever we're done. Also, big thing, please don't forget about ears. Ears have skin too. So if you retouch the entire image and you forget the ear, it's probably going to be noticeable. So do keep that in mind. We'll do a little bit of dodging here on her earlobe. And I don't think I did a whole lot of burning on this image for real, but we can probably do a little bit of burn work in here to kind of fill in that shadow. And most of my work is actually dodging and not so much burning necessarily. You'll see everything's gonna be fine. Another one, this highlight right here on her nose. We don't want to touch that. All right, there's skin stretched out over top of her nose bone. If we got rid of that, it's probably not going to look that good. And even here, we kind of want to keep a little bit of this shadow because, there can be there's that crease on everyone's noses and stuff. So that's going to keep the shape of her nose and everything. And one more spot real quick. We'll do some dodging where this darker area is. And this right here is probably an area that can be burned. So that way this entire shadow will be nice and evened out. Okay, so that's pretty much like what I see so far from looking at it. I do tend to start my dodge and burn work from further out, so I don't want to be, in super, super close on her unless, I can't see. I have bad vision sometimes. I mean, it happens. But do try to start your work from further out. That way you can have a glimpse of what your entire image looks like. Because if you start immediately working really close in on your picture and you zoom out, 9 times out of 10, it's probably not going to look the way that you intended it to. So I'm going to delete this entire layer that I drew on. And I'm going to select my dodge layer. I'm going to make sure that all of my brush settings are good. I'm going to hit a 2% flow. If you want to save this brush, you can. I have one dodge and burn 1% flow and a dodge and burn 2% flow. Oh, by the way, real quick, your hardness of your brush. I have mine at 3%. 0% is the softest you can go. So your brush, the edge of your brush is going to have a really, really soft edge. I just bumped it up to, 3%. You can go to 4%. And that kind of, just makes the edge of your brush just a tiny bit harder. So that way, I honestly just feel like it just makes my brush strokes a little bit more accurate. So, but you can kind of play around with it and see what works best for you. So, but I do have the hardness of this brush set at 3% normal mode, 100% opacity, 2% flow, 0 smoothing, and my airbrush style turned on. So I'm on my dodge layer. And I'll probably come into about 50%. And you want to make sure that your brush size is right about the size of the area that you're working on. And I do use a Wacom tablet. If you do not have a Wacom tablet, I will link you to one in the description below. You can get them at your local Best Buy, or you can order them online from Wacom's website or on Amazon. The cheapest one, I believe, is like $80 or so. I just upgraded to the Intuos Pro Small, and I absolutely love it. And no, this is not sponsored by Wacom. Anyway, we're supposed to be working on an image. So if you hold down your R key, you can rotate your picture, and it makes it a lot easier to do your brush strokes. It's much better to do them up and down than side by side. It makes your brush strokes a lot more accurate. So the first thing that sticks out to me is the area underneath of her eye. So I'll actually zoom in some so that you all can see exactly what I'm doing. All right. And we're just going to go ahead and start doing just a few brush strokes, 1, maybe 2, and then lift up your stylus. So that way you can kind of, nothing gets overdone, but you can always, do Command or Control Z to undo something. And we'll get in here really small. I'm probably not going to do, the entire picture. I might. I don't know. I've already done it. I might speed it up if you want me to. So I'll do a few more. I'll make my brush actually. No, I was going to make it bigger, but then I saw smaller areas that needed to be kind of, evened out. I'll do a quick before and after of just what I did under her eye right after I tackle these smaller areas. If you can see these darker areas right here that I'm working on, my brush is very, very small. It's like size 9, 10 right now. I do have my keyboard shortcuts switched from, to change my brush size, I use Q and W on my keyboard. And you can do that by going up to your edit and then all the way down to keyboard shortcuts. And you can change it to pretty much whatever you want. And we're going to zoom out some, and we'll just... And we'll get under here. It's a little awkward, being quiet sometimes, but, if I got something to say, I'll say it. This was a beast of a shoot, by the way, you guys. I love this. Matt was probably one of the coolest makeup artists that that I've ever worked with, and I've worked with quite a few. But Matt is he's different. He likes doing the really crazy stuff, and his brush strokes, amazing. All right. If you actually click your R key, you can hit reset view, and it'll bring your image back upright. and I'll zoom in some. And this I'm going to do before and after. So this is before, and that is after. Before and after. And I'll come in a little bit closer for you. This is before, and that is after. And it is really good to turn off your help layers, and so you can see your image in color. This is before, and that is after. And then if we zoom all the way out, that's before, and that is after. And that's by just doing a little bit of dodge work under her eye. I do make multiple layers of dodge and burn. You can make as many as you need because, you know, if you keep brushing, you will max out this, this dodge layer because remember, whenever we created it, we didn't make it super, super bright. So you can make as many layers as you need to. So it is best to kind of, you know, create actions for doing that stuff. So I'm going to come up to her forehead now. I'm going to turn on my help layers, and I'm going to hit those spots that I showed you all earlier. If you're not, right now I'm on my rotate tool. If you need to get back to your brush tool, just hit B on your keyboard, and it'll take you back to the same exact brush that you were just using before. And I'm going to hit this darker spot right here on her forehead. And if you notice right next to it to the left, it is a little bit brighter. So we can actually switch up to our burn layer and kind of do a little bit of burning in there. And it's going to make that look very even. There was a tiny area that it was right here. Yeah, see, sometimes you got to just zoom in kind of close to get into certain spots, but don't stay zoomed in for, you know, for absolutely ever, because then your eyes are going to start, you know, kind of playing tricks on you, and you're going to start doing things that you don't really need to be doing. I, you know, kind of learned that the hard way. And we'll do some in here. I'm actually going to switch to my burn layer, and we'll do a little bit of burning in here. Just a little bit, so it's not super, super strong. All right, cool. I'll switch back to my dodge, and we'll do a little bit more work here on her forehead. Ah, see, now I zoomed out, and now I saw an area that really needed to be worked on that I did not see when I was zoomed in. We'll hit that dark spot, and we'll get rid of this line. All these brighter spots up here can, you know, definitely be burned, but I like doing dodge first. I do switch back and forth, you know, do kind of, you know, do whatever you see first. Let's reset this. All right, we did some on her forehead. Now let's go down. Let's do some here on her neck where that makeup was. So I'm going to stay zoomed out about this far. I'm at about 66% right now, and I'm doing just a few brush strokes at a time. 2, maybe 3. Oops, I'm going to undo that. And if you're watching this, it may not look like that I'm really doing much of anything, which is actually a good thing. If you are dodging and burning and you see a really drastic change, you might need to, you know, switch up a few things. You need to lower the flow of your brush, or you need to change your dodging and burning layers, or you know, the opacity. I don't really mess with the opacity, but you can always mess with the opacity of your layers if you feel like you've overdone it. But I usually never have to do that. I always try to get it right the first time. Let's do some here. I noticed that this is a little bit darker than the rest of that entire shadow. So we're going to leave that entire shadow there. I kind of just, you know, did a little bit of dodging in a really dark area. So I've kind of, you know, just evened it out. And there is also these necklines. You can reduce those with dodging. here, and here. I've probably been practicing this technique for, going on 3 years now. And I still feel like I haven't, learned absolutely everything that there is to learn. I am pretty much self-taught. Well, I didn't go to school for this or anything. I have learned the same way that you are learning, by YouTube videos. I have watched other people retouch pictures. I do have a Pratik Nayak's retouching course, so I've learned a lot from him. We do it a tiny bit differently, but that is totally okay. He's helped me a lot with kind of, speeding up my workflow and keeping my workflow a lot more organized, doing certain things first, waiting to do this, coming back to certain things, kind of like, I'm going to fix that, later. I'm not really going to worry about that right now. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes better. So I try to live by that. So I'm constantly practicing every day when I do this. I feel like I've, kind of, got something down. There's always room for improvement though. So I'm always down to learn more things. So if you do something one way, please tell me. I would love to know how you edit your pictures or how you dodge and burn. I know some people use like 50% gray layers that I do not. Those confuse me. I'm sorry. I can't do it, man. I like using curves. I feel like I have more control with using curves. Let's kind of here. We zoomed in a little. We'll tackle these necklines down here. And then I'll move up to her chin, and then we'll do a quick before and after. Okay, yeah. And I'm rotating. Rotating also gives you a different perspective of your image, so you can make sure that you're working everywhere that you need to. You might see something different if you rotate your image a certain way. This, I don't know if you can see that. You can adjust this contrast curve as you need. So you don't have to leave it in the same exact spot the entire time you're working. I just made this a little bit darker, and see this really dark spot near her chin? I'm going to even all of that out. Oops, I'm not even on my dodge layer. Oops, sorry. Okay, now let's start over. I'm going to even all of this out right here. Again, a few small brush strokes until you start to see what you're working on doing what you want it to do. And remember those darker spots I told you about within this entire shadow? That is a necessary shadow. We do not want to remove those shadows. We just want to even and smooth everything out. And if we need to do burning within that shadow, we will do that. Whatever is going, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that my images look, pretty good. This technique does take a while to learn. I've had people ask me a lot of questions. How do you do this? How do you, so this is, this is what that's for. I'm here to show you. It does take practice, in the wrist. I can't draw. I can draw a stick person. That's about it. But, I cannot draw people. But I can, pretty much draw on your face. I guess, it's like digital painting, I guess. Dodge and burn actually goes back into the film days. You use chemicals and light to darken and brighten certain areas of your images, of your film shots that you have to actually, you know, develop in a darkroom. So this is the digitized version of dodging and burning. We'll hit this area on top of her lip. I know I told you I was going to do before and after the chin, but then I remembered I told you all about this shadow on her cheek that was shaping her face. So we're going to even that out and maybe go back up to her eye some, because I did make my image darker. So now we actually want to, I think when this image is in color, we actually, you know, we can enhance this shadow a little bit more than it, you know, than it looks right now, by, you know, doing just a couple of, you know, large burn strokes over that shadow to make it a little bit darker, and that'll, you know, that'll really, you know, shape her face. Yeah, always keep your eyes moving when you're doing something like this, so you don't get stuck, you know, in the same spot, you know, forever. Okay, let's zoom out some, because I am going to work more on her eye, under her under eye. That was a tongue twister. Say that 5 times fast. Under her under eye. If you do it, please send me a video of you saying that. Here's a good spot where we can actually burn. So I'll switch up to my burn layer. If you see this brighter spot within this darker area here, we can burn that. Just a few large brush strokes, and it's going to do a pretty good job of evening everything out, so it's not so prominent in our image. And I'll switch back to my dodge. And there's a really, really fine line here that we can kind of tackle real quick. And even in this highlight here, this highlight is also a necessary highlight, because this is where her forehead bone is. Underneath of her eyebrow, there is supposed to be a highlight there, because there is a bone and skin is stretched out over top of that bone, which causes a highlight. It is always really good to, especially if you're working on people, to have an understanding of bone structure. And it does take a little while to kind of grasp the concept of it, but go and, you know, turn on your bathroom light or your bedroom light, look at yourself in the mirror, play with light on your face, see where it's darker, see where it's brighter. That's why, well, if you're a makeup artist, you have a very, very good understanding of bone structure. That's why you highlight in certain areas, and that is why you contour in certain areas. And okay, cool. All right, so I'll reset this view. I'm getting carried away here. Let's do a before and after of our entire dodging and burning group. So this is before. That's before. And that is after. We'll zoom. No, we'll fit this to the screen. This is before, and this is after. That's before, and that's after. Now let's put our image back in color. This is before, and this is after. So you can see how this makeup spot down here on her neck really got minimized just by doing a few dodge strokes over top of it. So it's pretty much gone, and we did absolutely nothing to destroy this image. We are working completely non-destructively, so we are going to retain all of the texture in our image. That way, you know, the people that you photograph are still going to look real. They're not going to look plasticky. You know, they're not going to look, you know, they're not going to look fake or like a porcelain doll or anything. You want to keep the texture of the person's skin in your image always. And this is another before, and this is after. And especially under her eye, that was the biggest thing that kind of, you know, caught my attention. This is before, and that's after. So you can see how, you know, how good we're minimizing that just by doing some dodge over top of that darker area under her eye. And I didn't even really touch that dark place directly under her eye, like where her eye socket is, and I'm probably not going to. If anything, I can probably do a little bit of burning here, so we can even out this entire shadow. But I don't want to do too much, because I don't want to make it super, super dark. And what else did we... Oh, somebody wants me. And what else did we do? Oh, we worked on an area near her chin. So this is before, and that is after. And you can even see some of the necklines slowly going away. This is before, and that is after. So I think I didn't even get a chance to, really work on her ear, but I hope that you all kind of, understand the concept of dodging and burning, where to dodge. Oh my God, I'm going to turn you on vibrate. Understanding the concept of where to dodge, where to burn, what to leave intact, what to, stuff to not really, touch in your image, because you want to keep, all of the features of the person's face. You don't want to, overdo it, because you're going to flatten out their face, and they're not going to look real, and they're probably not going to be happy, getting that image back. Everybody doesn't look like me. So that's why I love this technique, and I wish I knew a lot of things before, I started dodging and burning. So I'm, pretty much telling you all everything that I wish I knew, down to, how to set up curve layers, and, exactly how to set up your brush and what works best for you and everything like that. So a lot of people still use, or they'll mainly use frequency separation, and I still do use frequency separation if I need to, but I go easy on it. And I always do frequency separation after I dodge and burn, to kind of, complement my dodge and burn. With dodge and burn, you're evening out highlights and shadows. With frequency separation, you are smoothing out color while retaining the texture in your image. But if you go too far with it, most of the time people who know about frequency separation can tell that you did frequency separation. And if you can tell, you probably did too much of it. So it's still totally okay. It's a great technique, but do be careful with it sometimes whenever you're using it. So that is probably going to do it for me. I'm going to turn this dodge and burn layer off, actually. And I'll turn on my entire retouching group. So this is the full retouch. I did my cleaning, my dodging and burning, and I did several dodge and burn layers on this. And I even dodged and burned her hair. I did do a little bit of frequency separation, and this is most of my color correction, and I sharpened it and added a little bit of grain for some texture. So again, real quick, if you hold down Option and click on your dodge or your burn mask, you can see all the brush strokes that you made. So this is a dodge layer. This is a burn layer. This is another dodge layer. Burn, dodge, burn. So make as many as you want. Take your time with it, especially if you are just starting out, because it is a really good technique. And once you get the hang of it, and once you train your eye on what to look for, it's the next time you go and retouch a picture, it's pretty much going to be cake for you. So, but don't stop learning. There's always room for improvement. Practice, again, practice does not make perfect. Practice makes better. So yeah, that is just about it. I hope you like the picture. Picture's pretty cool. You can check me out on Instagram at Donovan Cole Photo. Please subscribe to my channel. It would be much appreciated. Yeah, check out Matt Goodlet as well, and the model, Maria. She's pretty awesome as well. And yeah, that'll be it for me. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all next time.